Welcome back to another episode of Scryer's Room. I am your host, Fanfare.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mario.
And if you like the nature of this content, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. You can also follow me on Blue Sky. And we're going to start today by talking about the manga / anime series Kengan Asura.
Yes. So I'm pretty sure I'm the only one here who's actually paying attention to most of the fight manga and stuff because they're juvenile and not very good, but I get a lot of enjoyment out of them. They're very silly.
The only thing I've seen of this is the crossover with Baki.
Yeah.
Which was very silly.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize how absurd the show was until
Yeah, it looks like it's pretty regular MMA until you see any of it.
The secret ninja family demon man who activates his limit break.
Yep.
I see. This is the thing. I thought that it was supposed to be about people, and then they just become X-Men / superheroes.
Yeah.
And then he and Jack just starts biting chunks out of him.
That he does.
That's
Jack
his
move now.
And I also hate that. I hate that. That's body horror to me.
Oh yeah, in the current Baki, which is mostly about Jack, there's a lot of body horror elements where he's just biting pieces off of people, and good God, does it? Oh, he bites off a guy's bicep.
Yes, the secret martial arts technique of just having metal teeth and biting the fuck out of people.
I mean, his point that he makes is like, they can't deny it, which is that he's like, listen, this is an underground fighting arena. We're trying to figure out the best way to absolutely go ape and murder another human being, and biting is the most effective way. And everyone's like, but it's for girls. And he's like, if a girl bit off a piece of you, you'd stop fucking with her, right? And they're like, yeah. And you're like, well, I guess it's a pretty good self-defense then, isn't it?
What do you mean it's for girls?
They say that biting and scratching and slapping, those are women's techniques. Those are things that girls would do to defend themselves, presumably against a man assaulting them.
Huh.
Whereas Jack just looks at that and is like, that's actually the meta. That's the best move, because you don't even need to be strong to bite off part of a dude.
No, that's the ultimate self-defense technique. Bear hug, rip out, jugular with the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is classic. I mean, that's what I always thought.
And that's Jack's technique now. He gave it a cool karate name. It's not just bite them as hard as you can. It's Godo, the way of biting.
God bless. No, don't, no.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
You don't get to make that, cool.
He beat up a caveman with it.
To me, I don't know, it's the opposite of a martial art. It's the most primal, feral thing you can fucking do. Is I unga bunga, me wolf now, bite.
Yeah.
Tooth and claw like a savage.
That's why they had him fight the caveman.
One of the least problematic things about Baki, I'd say.
Which is absurd to me.
Well, pivot before Tony pops a blood vessel.
Oh yeah, he hates Baki.
We're supposed to be talking about Kengan Asura.
Absolutely despises it, and he's not wrong to. But let's get to Kengan Asura. Yeah, Kengan Asura...
Build this up so you can hate this, too.
Yes. if you watch the I think it's on Netflix, they have the anime for it, or if you start reading the manga, it starts really strong conceptually with there's an underground association for street fighting type guys. They want to have Mortal Kombats, but the reason that they do that, they actually give a reason, unlike Baki, where it's just sometimes people just want to hit each other as hard as they can for as long as they can. Underground. This one, it's okay. Economically, McDonald's can't, go to bat against the Disney Corporation. If they both want the same, thing, they both want to, exploit the same, small area of Nicaragua or something, they in the real world, there would be, legal problems and, obligations that they have to one another. But in this world, they've decided that instead of going through all that rigmarole, we each pick out our best Street Fighter for Mortal Kombat, and then they do Mortal Kombat at each other. And that's how they decide their business dealings. So the first, the actual Kengan Asura is about like the original tournament that they have to determine like who's the best of the underground fighters, and all of the people have like a backer, like the company that that's backing them for dominance in the tournament. And some of them are themed. Like there's a guy who's clearly supposed to be like wearing a Mickey Mouse mascot costume.
I remember seeing pics of this guy and just being like, "Oh, no way!"
Yeah,
like,
and ironically, like that is what sold me as like, you know what? I get it. This is gonna be like every character's like Jack from Baki, where he has like an evil scientist feeding him like special homegrown steroids, but it's going to be a fight really between the evil scientists from McDonald's versus the evil scientists from the Pepsi Corporation, all of them juicing up their fighters to do karate at each other as hard as they can. And that's what it seemed like the first tournament was about, until they decided that actually it's about how there is an evil organization trying to take over all of this. And really what they need to do is prevent the evil organization from winning the tournament, because if they win the tournament, they'll take over the whole operation. That's what we need to do. And then the first tournament ends with the guy who...
You gotta stop Shang Tsung before he can...
Yeah, yep.
Before you can bring Shao Kahn into the Earth realm.
Yeah, that's essentially what Kengan Asura was. It was...
It's just Mortal Kombat.
Yeah. Some of the characters I really enjoyed. There's a guy who is the American character. He has a gold grill with dollar signs printed on it.
Oh, I remember this guy.
Naturally.
Yeah.
He calls everyone bitch.
Was he Jackknife or something? No.
I think his name is Adam Dudley.
That's what it was, Adam Dudley.
Yeah.
And he looks like Eminem.
Yeah. He looks like
Real American name.
Yeah, and he only eats burgers, and like he has like a squadron of women that like carry his ketchup because it's American.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember the fucking panel that like I obsessed over was him saying like if you use mayonnaise you're like gay.
Yeah,
and then like I only put ketchup. It's like by like state law or something. And I was like,
yeah,
I've never been more proud to be an American after watching Adam Dudley.
He's like a Cat Williams bit a little bit.
Yeah, he really fucking is. God bless, dude.
Then there's one of our friends made a character based off of Sekibayashi.
Yeah, Sekibaya, yeah.
And he is...
Ewan, yeah, we mentioned Ewan in a previous episode. So this is... Ewan has made Johnny Depp, who was just...
Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean films, if he was a halfling, and then after the Pirates of the Caribbean films, just went to... Barovia, and then we played Curse of Strahd with him.
And then we also currently in Thursday group you have as Orona Razora, whose backstory was he did all the One Piece stuff. I think pre-time skip.
Yeah,
and then
during the time skip, Zoro fell in, I guess, a dimensional hole to play Dungeons and Dragons with us, and then that's it. So
yeah, and then the third, yes, and one of the campaigns that I was DMing before I took my hiatus, he was Seki by a giant grappler.
Yeah. And
he was just a fighter who punched shit and grappled people, and it was pretty great. And yeah, we mentioned this in a previous episode. He arm wrestled a dragon, a sea dragon. It's pretty goddamn impressive.
Nearly to completion.
Oh no, he finished afterwards. No, but yeah. So I guess this is the guy from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his thing is that he's a professional wrestler. Like, you know, like WWE professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And his big point is that I actually have to be stronger to fake fight people than you do to just fight people. Because
you can't hurt them.
Yeah, you can't hurt them. You have to always pull your punches exactly right. Everything has to be like 10 times more precise so that you're not like just snapping necks and shit. That's his like the conceit of that character. And he just picks people up and throws. He's Zangief.
Yeah.
He's a Zangief.
Hell yeah.
A Japanese Zangief who I really enjoy. Anyway, so Kengan Asura, the first part of it the tournament ends with the guy who obviously should have won the tournament, like the main character. He doesn't get to win the tournament because he has like a heart problem from using his secret technique too much. And so he basically...
The most shonen thing you can do. Anytime there's a technique that's slowly killing you, that's the most shonen thing in, like, the world.
And then the person who actually won the tournament is this guy who, like, every time it showed, like, him about to, like, enter the ring, we never got to see what he did. But like the entire time, we're left with the implication that he only does karate. He's a straightforward karate man. All these other people who are like, I use the secret technique of the Ryugan dynasty and like all this nonsensical stuff where like there's a guy who genuinely has gnarled monster fingers because he's not really a ninja. He's just really into ninjas and has just been smashing his fingers in like this ninja pose through people so long that now his fingers look like a talon.
Jesus Christ.
And then there's this bearded guy who just does karate.
that finger thing, you've seen the guy that's like actually can do that?
Yeah. That's
man.
awful.
His finger's disgusting.
Yeah.
But he can
man.
smash a coconut.
Yeah.
What does he just like break his fucking...
Yeah, he broke it like
100,000 times. Yeah.
And
So
it's
calcified?
permanently just like, yeah.
Yeah. He just has like a horrible like a bird talon.
Yeah.
It's
But he can break a few coconuts before
Yeah.
he has to stop, and it hurts.
I mean, if you want to turn yourself into a weapon, I guess. But we live in civilized times.
yeah.
He's some
Listen,
air
whatever.
quotes martial arts man.
Follow your passion.
Yeah,
He could probably fuck your shit up.
Oh,
but,
no, for sure. He has a talent.
I mean, it's if you just like duck, you know, like
I feel like the level of skill that it requires to get you the finger talon necessitates either like
you lose a hand basically.
Yeah.
because he has to like he like wears like a mitt over it. Or something. Like, it was
he's
some,
wearing like the big long mitt that
Yeah.
the guy with the world's longest fingernails has to wear.
It's he like keeps it covered, and then when he's gonna like do the thing, he takes it out, and it's super.
He has to unsheath it like it's a sword.
It's gross.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Terrifying. Anyway, there's a guy who does that, and there's another guy who just does karate, and we don't really get to see his fights. And it's implied that he did karate at him. That's how he won the previous fights. And then we get to the last fight, and then we get to learn that this guy just does regular karate, but it turns out he's the strongest man in the world by a pretty big margin.
Oh, man.
Everyone else was like, I think I might have a chance to win. They did not have a chance to win. Bearded Karate Man is the strongest man at the tournament.
He's just that good.
Hands down.
Oh, man.
And then part one ends with us believing the main character to be dead, and the underground organization is like, it's shook, but it's still standing. And Bearded Karate Man has won, and he like basically put the guy who's supposed to be in charge of the organization, he put him in charge. So it was a good little ending. But we found out that secret evil organization is actually apparently like scientifically decades above everybody else. They have advanced cloning technology and like surgical heart replacements that they can do and brain alterations that they've done and crazy shit. And that's the end of part one. They don't solve any of that. They find out about it and they're like, that's really scary. And they're like, yeah, you know what's scarier? They're going to come and kill all of us.
Oh, man.
Well, goodbye, everybody. And they just wave
They
as
just fuck off?
as the credits roll.
Damn.
And then part two opens up, and we have what we are led to believe is the new main character, this new kid, Koga. And so you see the guy who you actually follow throughout all this story isn't the actual main character fighter guy. It's this old guy who has this genetic abnormality called the fist eye. His dynamic vision is such that, like, if he focuses, he can see essentially in slow motion. There's no, like, blur in his vision, so he can really perfectly see the techniques.
Oh.
And because of that, every time that, like, there's, like, you know, the Dragon Ball Z move where people are commentating on the fight while it's
Yeah.
happening, because he, like, can see it perfectly, and he's, like, saying everything that's happening, and all the really advanced fighters are struggling to keep up with it, there's, like, a dozen scenes where they imagine him, like, doing the big reveal where he like takes off his jacket, revealing that he's shredded with the Yakuza's tattoos all over himself. He's not. He's an old nerd man.
There you go.
But the new main character, he's a street tough who's just he did a bit of karate before, but now he's not doing that anymore because you know the dojo was meh. But now he's doing street fighting. But he has the fist eye, which gives him a distinct advantage over everybody else, until it inevitably gives him a really bad headache to focus that hard on his eyes, and then he gets the shit kicked out of him.
Oh, man.
And that's the case for, like, 200 chapters. Now, in part 1, they introduce some people who have what I would call X-Man powers. The main character learns the ability that he can, like, advance his heart rate to such that he gets Gear 2 from One Piece, where he's just fast and red and sweaty.
Oh, yeah.
And we find out that, actually, that's a secret technique that this ninja clan actually perfected. And they saved the main character, even though his heart was supposedly exploded.
Jesus.
Yeah.
With ninja magic?
They did.
Oh, wow.
They had a spare ninja heart.
Great job.
The Death Kwon-Do hospital came through.
Even wearing those cutoffs in the mullet.
Yeah. And they save him, and they teach him how to do the technique without killing himself, and he's like, that's pretty good. And then we get to meet the new villain, this guy who's the connector. They call him the connector, and we don't know what that's supposed to be. Spoiler alert, he's like a crazy immortal clone man who's been practicing karate since we were cavemen and shit, so he's really good. And they have a tournament that is the Connectors organization has started another competing underground fighting organization for the same express purpose with different branding. By the way, both of these underground organizations have really specific branding that leads me to believe that, like, the author is like, we don't need to pretend that this is not an anime anymore.
So wait, the new villain is like
A competing martial arts tournament.
But like, what if he's basically like, what if Vandal Savage devoted his life to martial arts?
Yes.
That's funny.
Who's Vandal Savage?
He's a DC super villain.
He was a caveman who became immortal.
That's
Oh, wow.
it.
Okay.
So he's been alive for like 40,000 years or something.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, sometimes a comet just falls out of the sky and gives you immortality, and it involves your dumb Neanderthal brain into just a regular guy.
Yeah.
Huh.
So he's like part of like the shadow government. Like
He's part of every shadow government
he runs
because he was
everything
there.
because he's just been around for forever.
Yeah.
And he literally just can't die. Like,
Yeah. It's not like no one has been able to kill me yet. No, he can't. Like that's not one of the things that can happen to him. He won't die. He's his power is immortality and very little else, and let me tell you, he makes fucking use of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to Karate Men. So, the villain for a while is a competing martial arts tournament who eventually challenges them to a tournament fight, wherein they each have a tournament of their own dudes, culminating in a tournament of both of their dudes that will then decide whether or not they combine and who's in charge of that combined organization. So they have another karate tournament that doesn't matter even in the slightest.
God bless.
It takes like 300 chapters, and the end of it is them just they talk to the guy who's the evil tournament organizer, and he's like, yeah, because you guys are dicks. This evil organization told me so. And they're like, the evil clone organization? And he's like, yeah, that's the one. And they're like, that's the guys who've been killing you guys. And he's like, what? They've lied to me. All bets are off. Tournaments called off. None of this mattered.
Jesus.
Which was really just to introduce us to the what the connector actually is, which is this immortal karate man, because they call off the tournament essentially the stakes of it. They still continue to have like a big fight, obviously. It's a manga and he still needs to sell copies. And then the actual villain, this connector guy, just walks in and he's all pissed off that like his plan isn't working. We find out later that his plan not working isn't this tournament fight. It's a different part of the plan. So he walks in and he just beats everybody up, like a room full of guys that have guns.
Oh, man.
He just like walks in and he's like, yeah, I've gotten so good at karate that like I can see where everyone's looking at all times. So I just walk where they aren't looking and I just hit them and they're down. Just like, ah! And then that's it. They're just done.
That'll do it.
And partway through part one, we get a couple people that have essentially superpowers. But then it's always comes back to, but being good at karate is the real superpower is friendship.
Oh, man.
And knowing karate.
Yeah.
And then part two rolls around, and there's a guy who like is able to accelerate his blood pressure so much that he can shoot it out of his arms like a toad.
I remember you talking about this, and yeah, that's also where I was like, So they're just X-Men now.
They're just X-Men now.
Yeah,
There's a guy who has a Bankai.
What do you mean he has a Bankai?
So there is this evil... I mean, they're all evil because they're all assassins and fucking criminals and shit. There's this ninja organization that we were just talking about, having the ninja heart to do ninja heart surgery. They have this forbidden sword that if you're able to master it will raise you to a new level. And the ninja guy, his name's Ryan, by the way.
Oh, man.
So Ryan's son, I guess, just gets this sword and he learns to master it. And he's fighting one of the Connector's, like, minions. And all of his minions are, like, they're end tier powerful. They're so strong that it makes no sense that they're like, kept a secret. These guys are strong enough that they should have been, like, in all of these tournaments and stuff. That is neither here nor there. He shows up with the sword, and he starts doing karate. And then the guy, like, basically goads him into, like, drawing the sword because he figures out that what this sword really is it's not actually, like, a really good sword. It's just really heavy. And it's because it's made out of, like, depleted uranium or some shit because it's fucking anime. Who cares? It's just a massively heavy giant katana. But then the guy, showing that he has actually mastered using the sword, does a dramatic, like, he draws the sheath off and says the name of it, like he's summoning his Bankai.
Oh my god.
And then he just has an aura for the rest of the fight.
Did he just start chopping people, or?
Oh yeah, he started killing people with a sword.
Oh man.
That was pretty funny because most of these fights end with, and then they get beat up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought it was about fisticuffs.
This one ended with, and then he chopped his fucking head off.
That's the escalation now.
Ryan doesn't fucking play.
Oh man.
That's like the dumbest version of the weighted clothes.
Oh, yeah.
Training a weighted sword.
Now, all of this I can forgive as being what I would call low power level, like, mutations. Like, these are like, it's ridiculous, but nobody is, like, blowing up a building with karate. We're not quite at the level of Baki's grandfather beating up a battleship with a human nunchuck.
Yeah, what a fucking... God, dude, I fucking...
Until... A thing that the start of the most recent arc was the Connector just showed up at the main character's, like, place of business. Because it turns out that, like, the guy who trained the main character has been, like, his drinking buddy since part 1 when they met in the crowd at the tournament. And then they've just been drinking buddies. They meet every week, and then now he just finally shows up and he's like, all right, guys, I know you guys are probably pretty steamed at me, what with, you know, controlling an evil organization that keeps assassinating you guys. And I plan on doing a bunch of evil stuff. But I just want you to know that I'm chill with your friend, and I think we can all be friends too. And they're like, absolutely not, obviously. And he's like, well, hold on, let me show you that, like, I've really, like, I've got good intentions. I want to make you guys strong enough so that you can fight me. And they're all like, what does he mean by that? What could this possibly be? And then he's like, you guys are all, like, really strong already. You're beefy as hell, you know? Just some strong, strapping, oiled-up boys, because this is a fight anime. Your technique's just a little bit off. So he has the main character, like, do, like, a regular, like, a seiken, which is just a straight punch. And he does it, and, you know, it's a punch. And then the Connector just, like, is like, put in your elbow, like, 2 more millimeters and, like, step forward just a little bit more when you do the punch. And then the main character he does it with these extremely minor alterations. And as soon as he throws the punch, all of the windows of the room get blown out.
No way.
At that point, I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
There's no 2 millimeter difference you can do that will change this punch from a punch into a sonic boom.
You like fucking Guile from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, man. Or Charlie. Yeah. Fuck.
They just had, like, a massive training arc that has, I think, come to an end. And I'm pretty sure everyone's just an X-Man now with different powers because they all went to have their training arcs. And they got advice from the Connector, who's been doing karate for 1,000 years. So I'm pretty sure that we're going to start seeing people do some actually insane shit. Like, I don't think even in Baki they would have... in Baki, they did have a guy who did like a sonic boom with like a punch. And the cost of that was it exploded his arm because the human body can't travel at those speeds.
Yeah.
And then that arm got eaten by a caveman.
Dude, fucking Baki, dude. What a fucking fever dream.
Well, Yujiro did kill a 3 times the normal size elephant.
Yeah.
Somehow.
There was just kaiju elephant that was insane.
And whatever African military of the country it was in couldn't stop it.
Yeah.
Like it
This
was
is an
just
elephant.
too big.
This is an elephant.
Bullets just couldn't get through the skin and blah.
That's not a real problem.
And then
God bless.
and
They,
they have to-
literally have elephant guns.
yeah, then they have to do a report on.
They had tanks.
Yeah, then they just find its corpse, and then there's reports of just some crazy red-haired Japanese man just beat the shit out of it somehow.
Yep.
God, dude, I just fucking Baki is so ridiculous.
Baki is really weird. So a thing about Baki that I've really enjoyed is that Yujiro has changed massively over the years. More than any other character, I would say that his design has changed the most. At this point, right now, his design has become that he is always like slick with oil, like a dolphin.
Oh man.
He looks like a well-polished suit of armor.
Oh man.
With an angry eyebrow expression and squiggly lines around to indicate he has aura.
Menacing.
Baki is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Kengan Asura is becoming increasingly ridiculous.
I mean, if he keeps going as long as the Baki guy does, you know, or did.
I'll go ahead and say that Baki was ridiculous right from the get-go. He started fighting Bigfoots and stuff in part 1.
Really?
Yeah.
It was just off the bat.
Yeah, part 1 started with, okay, here's this guy and he's really strong and this is Baki and he's in a tournament and he fights like 2 guys, and then we go into a flashback showing him at like 11 years old, and his mom is like an evil billionaire who's just training him with the science and greatness that she all has access to. And then one day his dad comes and kidnaps him and is like, you're going to go fight a gorilla on a mountain. And then Baki makes friends with the gorilla, so his dad kills the gorilla and yells at him about it and then makes him fight a special forces unit.
What the fuck?
So the lesson that he wanted Baki to learn was, 1, that friendship is weak, but 2, that you can activate an incredible well of power within yourself by accessing head trauma.
Huh.
Yeah.
I guess that's a lesson to learn.
You get beaten about the head enough, your endorphins start going, and then you don't feel the pain, which is how you can survive being thrown off of a mountain.
Oh, and then he threw him off a mountain?
He did.
No.
So like Baki is its own brand of insanity, and then I haven't really watched much of Kengan, but it sounds more regular anime dumb. Like
It is.
whereas Baki is like
It's straight JoJo's.
death row inmates show up because they want to fight you because they heard you're real good, and then dudes are puking up grenades for no reason, and like
Not no reason.
and no karate hypnotism, and then another
He
guy
does. He does get people with hypnotism twice, and it's like an extended sequence that I can only imagine was because he decided later, he was like, I don't like how that turned out. Let's say that was hypnotism. And I'll say it's because Kengan Asura is much more concerned with just, we don't need to try again. Whatever we make is going to be done the first time. Whereas the Baki guy has the same approach as George Lucas, where he's like, his name is Fungo Hairstylios. Why not? Let's just make it happen.
Yeah.
Han Solo is a blue wolf man, actually.
God bless, dude. Yeah, no, I don't really do a lot of those fighting.
No, he
anime.
hates them.
Yeah,
I love tormenting him with them.
Yeah,
because they're so bad and insane.
I mean,
call me a hater, man. I just don't get it.
I enjoy them, but straight up, the only reason I haven't tried to watch Kengan Asura is that it's just the animation.
The CGI.
Yeah, it's 3D.
Oh, I hate that CGI
It's-
stuff. Same with the new Baki.
It's
Yeah.
real ugly. If I I don't know, if I thought I could get really into it, then I could ignore that. Like Dorohedoro was animated
Yeah.
pretty much that way, and I love the fuck out of that.
Dorohedoro rules.
But I don't think I would like Kengan Asura enough to
So let me tell
power
you,
through that.
there's not a lot more than action figures smashing into each other for you to really grab onto from a storyline perspective. So I'm not... Baki is genuinely... There's so much around Baki that is just... Not just the action figures smashing together. It's he decided that we're going to talk about dinosaurs this week. So we're talking about dinosaurs this week. It's almost like somebody live streaming writing a manga. There's no edits.
Yeah.
There's no going back. We just have to we just keep on keeping on marathoning through this shit.
Yeah, every part of Baki is just like there's some new crazy thing that where you tell someone about it and then they're just like, well, what do you mean? And it's like, that
What
just
the fuck
happened.
did you just say to me?
Yeah, like
Did you just say they fight a caveman?
in fucking Mr. Oliva's ultimate technique is to Pac-Man you.
Yeah.
Oh
He
wow.
goes into a giant taut muscle ball and he just he literally just
Yeah.
like snaps you in and then he tries to crush you.
What the?
Yeah, ultimate technique.
He beat up Che Guevara too.
Oh my god.
You know, political revolutionary Che Guevara?
Yeah, he beat his ass.
He was in Baki and he got his ass beat.
Also, the reason he got so strong was because his wife is like 600 pounds.
Yeah, I remember that.
She's the fattest thing in the world.
And so he got real buff so he could pick her up.
So he can
yeah.
lift her up because
which is
love is
wholesome.
beautiful.
That's pretty wholesome.
And then Baki just cuddles with his wife right in front of him and makes him like go through like a cuck rage so that
man.
so that they actually get to fight. And then Baki wins and then just leaves the prison. Because at a certain point of being strong in the Baki universe, the government's like, well, this one's a Superman now. Better let him go.
Yeah. Yeah, Olivia's constantly leaving the prison to
Yeah.
just go do stuff.
He's like a... They make him he's a bounty hunter, like on a motorcycle in a secret prison in Arizona.
He's a bad enough dude.
He's the baddest dude of all, apparently.
Immune to bullets.
He is. So Baki has some, I'll call them problematic, but at this point, this is Japan in like the 80s and 90s level of thinking that you can't even look at it with the same like lens of what's problematic.
I mean,
Biscuit Oliva got shot by a shotgun and then attributed his immunity to these bullets from his blackness, Cubanness, and standing near the sea.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, that's what they done did.
Well, let me tell you how he feels about it. Bulletproof.
in Baki world makes perfect sense.
It does. There was a guy in part one that was in like the original tournament to determine who's the strongest, that Baki obviously won, who's just like an insane leopard-eating man from the Congo. And like there's like an extended flashback sequence of what I can only imagine is like the Japanese 80s, 90s understanding of what like chattel slavery was.
Oh, man.
And like how like, oh, and then the strongest would be bred with the strongest of slaves, making them even stronger and blacker and more powerful. And then at the end we just essentially he has to fight a Blanca, where he's just like a non-speaking animal man. And I think he's the only character to knock Baki out in the ring. This animal man.
Oh man.
And unfortunately, the Japanese, if you've ever seen like a Japanese boxing thing or anything like that, you know that the Japanese really don't like it when their Japanese boys don't win. And they're willing to bend over backwards to give a Japanese person who has been like knocked out, they'll give them another chance. They'll bend over backwards to do it. Happens all the time. Now, I'm sure this happens in every nationality and with every, like, you know, different kind of favoritism. But with Japan, it's really obvious, so much so that it happened in Baki, because they're like, oh, you knocked him out before we said start, so Baki gets another chance. And then as soon as they hit start, Baki just kicks him in the balls so hard that this man just is knocked out. That's it.
God bless.
That thing you just said about like about how they value their sportsmen and all that blah. I watched quite a bit of Hajime no Ippo
Yeah.
a while ago.
That's one of the ones I would watch.
Ippo's
it's
good.
pretty good.
Ippo's an actual sports anime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ippo's like a wholesome boy. It does get a little silly in a lot of parts, but the only reason I brought it up is because his like first like official boxing match is against a black guy from the U.S., and they treat it as if like he's got a superpower because he's black.
Yeah, they do.
And like
his athleticism.
yeah, literally they're like,
how do we step up?
they're just like, oh man, your first one's a black guy. Like that's a rough, like tough man. Like that. You can do it though. We
Like I
believe
said,
in you.
90s Japan had a very...
It was still like wholesome.
Yeah,
Like,
it wasn't hateful.
He's like, yeah, he's a good guy. Like he has like his Japanese family there, and like that's why he stayed in Japan, is because they were like super nice to him and stuff, whatever. But it was just really funny that like that just it comes completely out of they're just like the other boxers are like talking amongst themselves and just like, did you hear he has to fight a black guy? Like,
Sorry, Bo.
like it's a massive advantage.
I will choose to be flattered by this. I will choose to be flattered by this.
He meant it to be flattering.
It was just very funny because they're taking it so seriously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. That's
They treat it...
We're a different era.
They treat it with the same reverence as like finding out that like, oh my god, so you're on your horse that you've like had on the farm all this time. That's Secretariat up there. Like this is a thoroughbred racehorse that you have to race against. They treat it with the same level of reverence. So I think it's supposed to be flattering, but in the 80s and 90s in Japan, they say some weird shit.
Yeah, no, they definitely did. Dude, God bless America. Fucking Kengan Asura. What a trip, man.
Kengan Asura is very weird, but it's much less weird than Baki. If you liked Baki, but Baki was very weird for you, definitely check out Kengan Asura, Kengen Omega. If you're not into just two like buff dudes essentially in their underwear just beating each other bloody, probably avoid both of them. That's pretty much what they're about. One of them has more dinosaurs than the other, but they're both mostly about beefy guys wailing on each other.
Yeah.
The thing that tickles me about Baki, so we've said this before, that JoJo's is for boys who want to kiss boys.
Boys who want to kiss boys, and Baki is for men who want to fuck men.
Yeah.
And recently there was a panel I saw from Baki where like, yeah, they're just literally locking mouths. But it's like, oh, they're fighting and their souls are conjoined in the struggle and they're literally kissing each other.
Yeah.
But it's like intense.
That was Jack versus
It's
the
not
caveman, Pickle, yeah.
Passionate, it's like intense.
Yeah.
So why didn't he just bite Pickle's mouth off with his metal teeth?
They were trying
They
to.
were doing that.
Oh,
So
Pickle eats the lower half of his face.
Oh,
the
fuck.
first time they fight and that happens, Pickle rips off the lower half of Jack's whole face, and now he has like cool like scars on his cheeks. And now this time that they fought, that happened again, and then a whole chapter was devoted to everyone staring at two like super ripped dudes just making out hardcore is what it looks like.
Yeah, dude.
It was a whole chapter. I liked it. I thought it was very funny.
That's what I'm talking
That was
about.
hilarious.
I thought the dumbest part of their first fight was that Jack gets knocked unconscious, and then like Pickle's like about to go because that's the whole thing. Like he beats up his food and then he eats it.
Yeah.
But then like he's like gonna go up to him, and then someone like stops him or something, and it's just like wait. Like,
He freezes stop because he has a memory from back when he was a caveman, back in prehistoric times, and he remembers the stinger of the bee.
because Jack somehow in his unconscious state still had conditioned his body that if he got near him, he was gonna like
Jam his fingers
like,
into your
pierce
ears.
his brain through his ear canals.
Yeah.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah, it's like
So don't wake up Jack if you find him.
yeah, they like someone like throws something at him or something, like
And
touches, and he just
his
body
arms
just whips into
jerk
motion.
forward, and everyone can see like what would have happened because this is that kind of fucking manga where they're like, wow, that would have been scary.
Yeah.
Whereas in reality, what had happened was this caveman threw him aside, and then took a step, and then stopped, and then essentially like a bottle fell, and then like two loose arms just whipped forward. In reality, most of these fights would be pretty hilarious.
It's very silly,
But it's
played so serious.
Oh
Yeah.
There's a guy who genuinely his power is just rock climbing, and they treat that power as like that's he can't be thrown off buildings. he'll attach to them like Spider-Man.
Oh, the Russian guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He climbed out of a
Grip
missile
strength.
silo. Grip strength won't help you against a completely flat surface, but he has like, I don't know, goat DNA or something where he's like, oh, this is actually a 91 degree wall, so he comes to a complete stop.
That's when Jack hit him with the hard counter, got him in a phone booth, and then just beat the shit out of him.
Yeah.
God bless. That'll do it.
Yep.
It was very funny.
Jesus.
They fought
Especially 'cause
around an
Jack-
innocent man.
Yeah, Jack by himself fills the phone booth.
Yeah.
So it's just like, how he's even punching him. Like,
That scene-
Who can say?
I'm sorry, I need to go in on that scene for a second. I love that scene so much because there's a man in a phone booth talking to his girlfriend, and then he sees in the distance two really ripped guys, one of them considerably taller than the other, and he's like, there's some ripped homeless dudes out here, but don't worry about that, babe. We can keep talking. And then the giant homeless dude gets in the phone booth with him.
Oh, man.
And he's like, I think I might be about to get robbed or something. I don't know what's going on. And then Jack, the giant guy, invites the third man into the phone booth. So this guy is like, please, babe, stay on the phone with me. I'm so scared. There's two ripped dudes in this phone booth with me. And then Jack closes the phone booth, and they have an entire fight that goes on for long enough that a truck is able to come and pick up the phone booth, transporting the phone booth with three men, one innocent, into an underground fighting arena.
Oh, dude, I fucking hate Baki. It's fucking funny. Oh man, dude, what a fever dream.
It really is. Just one thing right after another.
Just some fucking clown car logic.
I feel like Baki is... If Mortal Kombat was told they weren't allowed to actually use wizards.
Yeah.
Because Mortal Kombat is like, there's a cop, there's robot arms man, there's
sorcerer.
ninjas.
He accidentally makes people into basically spellcasters because he doesn't understand how, like, the human body or physics works.
Not at all, yeah.
And he just makes shit up. Like the poison guy, he poisons you with carbon dioxide because
He poisons you with oxygen, and he does that once, and then never again.
Never again. And he's the poison master.
Yeah,
And then he goes through this whole thing where he poisons his hand.
yeah. He
And-
sticks it in a jar full of crushed up bugs and stuff till it turns purple, and then when he slaps you, he gives you karate aids.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah.
I remember this. And then Baki has to go through an art to cure it.
Yeah, he goes and he goes to all of his friends and is like, "Hey, how do I cure karate aids?" And they're like, "You have to fight in another martial arts tournament." And he's like, "Bet, I knew this."
Yeah.
He also breathes a man's brain out of his skull.
Breathes?
Yeah, he blows into one of his ears and it blows the guy's brains out the other
No!
side. Yes.
He hit that man.
No
with,
fucking
That's his
way.
introduction.
he hit that
is
man
he
with the
does
Bugs
that.
Bunny fatality.
Yeah.
And then never again. How did he do that? We're not going to talk about it. Like,
Just move past it. It happened.
Yeah.
It's in the past now.
and then Yujiro bitch slaps him and he's dead. Like, well, he didn't die, but he's like maimed.
Yeah.
And just done for. Was single slap.
Yep.
And he just ended this guy.
That was it. Because it turns out, he's still the top tier. And this slap happened almost directly after, like, he supervised his son losing his virginity. Baki is so fucking weird.
Jesus Christ. It's no wonder B
It
starts
was the
turning
power
out so
up he
weird.
needed, you know?
Yeah, so this is a thing that I'll tell everybody, but I love repeating it, so you're going to get to hear it again. Sorry, Tony.
Yep.
The power-ups that Baki gets. So in general, in shonen, like, power struggle type karate martial arts things, they learn a new technique, and that's what pushes them over the edge to, like, be able to beat the next opponent. And sometimes they'll use their old techniques in a new and interesting way. One of the really good ways that you can think about this is how, like, Goku, like, started off where he didn't know any karate or martial arts or anything, and then he starts copying everybody else's powers and abilities, and Solar Flare becomes the MVP ability and all this stuff. But then he gets major power-ups, and these are like the Kaioken and then Super Saiyan and all this. Whereas in Baki, his power-ups are his dad was his whole family apparently is magically strong on that side of the family. So that's just a thing. So his first power up, he's a little boy, an 11-year-old, which if you haven't been around an 11-year-old in a while, they're smaller than you're thinking. They're just little babies. And this one is so shredded that he beat up like a Navy SEAL team in the woods. Just beat them all up.
Baki's also short,
He's tiny even for a Japanese fighter, yeah. So his first power up was getting beaten about the head so hard that the endorphins flow and you no longer feel the same level of pain. Okay. And then his next power up is obviously the various power of friendship power ups from meeting an ape that he then made friends with. And then much later in the second story, he gets the first story ends with him getting the power up of the demon back, which is his dad is so shredded that it appears to have like a demon face on his back.
Yeah, God
and then
bless.
In the last fight, Baki unlocks his demon back. I don't know why that would do anything different. His back muscles are still the same back muscles.
But they're warped differently.
They sure are. So then he gets to beat up his older brother, who puked out all the liquid in his body. And that actually made him considerably stronger.
That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Sure doesn't. So he gets his demon back, and that's his Kaioken. That's when you know he is now taking the fight seriously now.
Just by deflating?
Well, that's Jack's power, is deflating.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas Baki, once you
back.
see the demon back, that means, he's engaged in this fight.
Oh, he's engaged his core.
Yeah, and then in the second part, his next power-up is fucking his girlfriend.
I remember hearing this. I remember hearing about the power-up of him fucking his girlfriend.
He loses his virginity, and his dad essentially bullies him about it for a minute before he actually has sex with his girlfriend. And then this is during the death row inmates arc, and he got his ass beat by two of them. And then he has sex, and then he steps out, and it's like a TikTok edit where it's the intense music and the shaky cam now, and everyone tries to attack him, and he perfectly blocks all of them. Unfortunately, he started having sex, which made him much stronger. Until he gets karate aids from Poison Hand Man.
Dude, God fucking bless.
And then he goes into another tournament where he gets hit by a different anti-negative Poison Hand Man, which is the cure to Poison Hand Man's poison. And then because his body was so drained from an extended period of being under the karate poison,
You gotta drink Gatorade.
he drank a gallon of, we call it the Chinese Kung Fu Gatorade.
He just put sugar and water, and it was, let me stir this with my
they
Kung
make a
Fu
big
hand.
show of it. Yeah, he takes out this ancient Chinese pot of it's sugar from all these plums and various herbs that have been cooked down, and then he adds 2 liters of water, and then they really show his gnarled kung fu hand going in and stirring it until it's just a full liquid, and then Baki eats a 3-course a succulent Chinese meal. And just drains a gallon of Gatorade till his stomach is bulging like a cartoon character. And then he lays down and steam erupts from his body like he's a titan.
And then he just inflates again and is fine.
All his muscles turn right back to normal. It's like he was never poisoned at all. And he goes back to the karate tournament, and the tournament people are all very angry that they're all getting beaten up. And then now it's not even fights. Baki is just putting people down. And that's pretty much Baki's power level now. If he's stronger than you, then you just don't get to fight him.
God bless.
Because, he at this point, sort of decides, okay, I need to start, training to actually prepare to fight my dad. But Muhammad Ali's son showed up a while ago, and we had to deal with the fact that Muhammad Ali wanted to fuck Baki's Muhammad Ali's son wanted to fuck Baki's girlfriend.
I remember this, yes.
To which Baki was like...
No, you went over this on the previous podcast.
Yeah, it's a whole fucking thing. But, that was the first showcase of, they fight and Baki just puts him down instantly. This is Baki's new power level. Essentially, the author has said, stop don't invest yourself in Baki getting in extended fights anymore. He is now top tier strong along with Yujiro. All right. So then we go into the next story where there's all the... This is the caveman one where he actually fights his dad and everything. And at this point, he has learned a new technique for getting stronger and stronger, which is his using his imagination, which turns him borderline telekinetic. He's a Charles Xavier now.
You were talking about this on a previous episode where you can just fucking astral project things.
Yeah.
And they have their imaginary dinner.
Yeah.
And they're just like, but it's real because
karate.
Well, so where I took exception was that he's like starts getting beat up by the ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Because if you do it right, you can actually cause damage.
It's like an illusionist wizard making their illusions permanent or real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like he's explaining this to a young child, and he's just like, it's just image training, and it's like, no, you have psychic powers.
He also invites that young child into the dark, locked area of his basement where he does his secret training.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, he has like a karate bunker.
Yeah, where he does all of his most dangerous training because his dog just has to stay upstairs for that part because he doesn't want his old dog Musashi getting caught up in all of his training craziness.
His image training against a giant praying mantis.
Yeah.
It's pretty metal.
He beat up a guy with his eyeballs once.
Wait, what?
He beat up a guy with his eyeballs.
Like he took his eyeballs out and beat him up with them?
So there's one guy from part 1 whose thing is he has like a giant Yakuza tattoo on his back of King Ghidorah from Godzilla.
No.
And this guy's my favorite guy because he just rules in all sorts of ways. He doesn't know any kung fu or karate or anything. All that he can do is take a lot of punishment and just keep punching you as well. So by the end of the first tournament, both of his legs and both of his arms are broken, and I'm pretty sure his spine's broken, and his neck is like at a weird angle, and they're wheeling him out in a cast, and he's like, I didn't say I give! He's completely fucked. But between stories, he got a power-up. We don't get to know what kind of power-up that is, because Baki's like, hey, listen, we're not on the same level anymore, we can't do a fight. And he's like, sounds like you're getting pretty cocky, Baki. And he's like, no, it's like, okay, so you know how you do like Three Stooges moves where you like poke a guy in the eyes and they'll be like, oh, I can't see. And he's like, yeah. All right, just hold your hands out like you're going to do that and I'll run into your fingers as hard as I can. And he's like, Baki, that'll gouge your eyeballs out of your fucking head. Your eyeballs are made out of squishy, wet water. And Baki's like, trust me, I'm like crazy. It's insane. I'm an X-Man now. And then he runs at him as hard as he can, and he like bruises his eyeballs, but like it breaks the guy's fingers and like twists his arm back and throws him backwards.
Dude, fuck, no way!
Yeah.
No!
Yeah.
Dude!
Also, this guy is like 6'5" or something.
Yeah, he's like a giant,
built like a brick shit house.
Motorcycle
he's a Yakuza
gang man.
boss,
Yeah.
and he's like 17.
Oh no, that's Hanayama. I'm talking about the other wannabe Yakuza
the blonde
guy.
one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That guy gets beaten up like that. That guy, I don't think Baki has had another fight with Hanayama since like part 1.
He doesn't fight much.
No, they're actually bros.
He beat the shit out of that death row inmate.
Yeah, I think the next fight that's going to happen is Hanayama versus Jack. That's like the thing that like the end of the last chapter intimated because Jack beat up the caveman and then was like, I am now ascended to the next tier, just like Baki was. And then Hanayama steps out and is like, so you think you're pretty big now, huh? And they're just two like 8-foot tall, ridiculously yoked guys who are like 17 and 24.
Yeah, dude, I remember seeing a panel of that and just being like, dude, fuck you!
Oh, no way!
Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, whatever, man. I mean, people enjoy it. You know, I gotta stop being a hater, but I probably won't.
It's very silly.
Hey, you don't have to stop, like, having opinions about it. Being a hater would be if you were like, Kevin, stop reading this shit. You're poisoning yourself and me with this.
Yourself and me is a good. That's funny.
Kinda, you know?
It I don't want to say it contributes to brain rot. That's a bit too harsh, but I feel like there's some adjacent energy there.
Look, as long as like neither Kevin nor I like come to you and it's just like, Tony, you just don't understand. Baki is like a true masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like that's not the opinion we have of Baki.
Right. Yeah.
We enjoy Baki, but it's like it's not like Shakespeare, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm firmly of the opinion that like one of the best things that you can do as a creative person is to just consume content voraciously, regardless of its quality, so long as you know its quality. Like, if you read something and you're like, this is a piece of shit, so long as you know it's a piece of shit, go on, have at it. You already know the parts that like make something good or bad in your brain. You won't get like poisoned by thinking, I think actually I should put like super buff dudes in their underwear in my story. That doesn't really happen. But you do get to see like a bunch of ideas that you otherwise wouldn't be exposed to, and in some cases you get to see like, wow, definitely don't do that in my thing, because
Yeah.
I don't know if my serious kung fu story could have a place for a caveman that fought T-Rexes in it.
You know, it's a bold strategy, but I guess it playing out. People don't seem to enjoy pickle.
I mean, I don't know about that.
yeah, there's some problems with pickle.
But yeah, you can read and enjoy even the exceptionally crappy things that like you might feel some guilt about, and I believe that it's just as helpful as reading good things can be. Now, only reading bad things and not reading good things, like engaging in that kind of content, that's probably not super good. That'll at the very least that'll leave you thinking about things only in terms of Karate Men. That leaves you like. You have a permanent debuff.
Or you start writing the Loud House fanfiction.
Oh, man.
In the loud houseness of the 41st millennium.
Dude, I still need to like read that. Not read obviously in all of it. I can't. There's
You
no,
could.
not enough time. Yeah.
There isn't enough time left in your life.
Yeah. For what is it, 1 million words?
Well over 1 million.
You'd also have to decode it.
Yeah. You would have to
That's
decode
what
it.
I'm worried about. Yeah.
And also wait. By the way, that fic. So what we're talking about is the longest piece of fiction, like continuous fiction, written by mankind, and it's a fan fiction of the Loud House, written by a person that I assume is a raving lunatic and very dangerous. But it only ended because like the actual like website hosting the fic, it has an upper limit in bits of like how many like characters can exist in like one fic. Like, it's like, okay, no one's obviously going to write something that has, like, 200 million, like, lines in it. And then he did. He wrote something so long that, like, the science of how this website is put together was like, it's over, actually.
It's fucking crazy.
Start a new one.
He fucking capped out.
Yeah.
And he's just started writing number 2.
When it's like the program is just, he's too strong.
A curious game. The only winning move is not to play.
Yeah. He broke through the wall.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's good to do what you love. And with that, we're going to end tonight's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed the nature of this content, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe on YouTube at Fanfare. And also give me a follow on Blue Sky at Fanfare. And if you want to support us, go ahead and check out our Patreon, which is also Fanfare. And have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.